Understanding your customers' needs, adaptogens in functional health, and trend risks in the post-pandemic landscape. That and more on today's episode.
Want to know what's next? For over 2 decades, we've led the world's most influential brands to create the right products at the right time for tomorrow's consumer. This is WGSN's Client Questions Answered.
Hello and welcome to the show where our experts from around the globe unpack your biggest challenges. I'm Carla Bizarci, President and CEO at WGSN. Let's get started. Our first question comes from a client asking, how can we better understand our customers' needs? Have best practices around consumer profiling evolved? And how could WGSN work with us on this? Let's hear what Laurie Gooding, our Senior Consultant on Mindset based here in the UK, has to say.
Over the past 2 years, we've seen a huge shift in consumer priorities, lifestyles, and ambitions. So now more than ever, brands should consider not just the practical needs of their audience, but also their emotional needs and their common goals. Brands shouldn't limit or pigeonhole audiences by age, spending power, and postcode, because ultimately we're all driven by our emotional sentiments. At WGSN, we help brands put psychographics rather than demographics at the heart of their consumer strategy, and we take out as much of the guesswork as possible. To do this, our consultancy team carry out both qual and quant studies in a brand's key market. We then apply the WGSN trend forecasting lens to unpack consumer drivers both now and into the future. Ultimately, we want to help our consumers win in the connected economy.
Thanks, Laurie. Psychographics sound fascinating, and if you'd like to find out more about mindset, head to wgsn.com and click on the advisory button. Our next question comes from a client asking, in the functional health arena, what's coming next after adaptogens? We're going to head over to Singapore now to hear from Rachel Tam, our food and drink analyst. Over to you, Rachel.
Adaptogenic plants including ginseng, reishi mushrooms, and maca root have been growing in functional food and drink over the last couple of years. We see the next wave of wellness coming from traditional Chinese medicine. TCM ingredients like plants, roots, herbs can overlap with adaptogens, but are a whole system unto themselves. In Asia, these are appearing in new food and drink for new audiences in accessible new formats, including RTD teas and convenient porridges.
Excellent insight there from Rachel, thank you. You can follow the Functional Food hashtag on the feed to keep up with the latest innovations in this area. On to our final question for today, which comes from a client asking, how can we minimise trend risk in a volatile post-pandemic retail landscape? Giving us their take on this topic is Hannah Richards from the Mindset team. Let's hear what she has to say.
Post-pandemic, brands have to fight harder to attract customers, putting greater pressure on innovation and leaving many unsure on what to do. On one hand, innovation can push brand identities further, helping you to remain relevant with future consumers. Yet on the other hand, misguided innovation strategies can increase the risk of cancel culture, product overstock, and markdowns. Going forward, innovation strategies cannot be solely guided by internal data, as there's a risk that broader trend signals will be missed. Instead, brands should invest in third-party data sources such as consumer, social media, e-commerce, and even metaversal data, as this will bring greater integrity to internally generated insights. This will support decision-making from brand strategy down to product design, mitigating risk and maximizing return on investment.
Amazing, thank you Hannah for that answer. That's all we've got time for this week. If you have any questions that you'd like answered, please pop them in the comments box for our team. I'm Carla Bizarci and I'll see you next time.